Welcome to Behind the Lines, coming to you from the socialist, Marxist lines of Washington State. It's a crazy liberal petri dish for the rest of the country, folks. Stay up to date with all the great news right here. So I noticed a couple stories that were running on the internet here in the last couple days, and with all this news about what happened at the Capitol and all the white people that are going to attack every state capitol that's been going on for the last week, all that fear-mongering. Something that the media has not been talking about is the fact that China is back on lockdown. More than 20 million people locked back down because they've got another strain of COVID spreading through the country or through a couple of these cities. And it's actually to the point where they are blocking the gates that go into housing developments so that people can't get out. And they've gone through and put stickers on apartment doors, something similar to like evidence tape, except they're bigger. Stickers across the doors so that they can tell if the door has been opened or not. And the stickers say that if the sticker is found to be ripped or broken, that they could face legal consequences for that. Pretty serious. And, then we've got these lockdowns going on in Europe, England and France, and maybe some other countries. And then you've got these curfews that are being established in Canada. I know that Ontario and Quebec, for sure, you cannot leave your yard or house between 8 p.m. and 5 a.m. because of COVID. And also in the news, Australia, Brisbane, actually went on a 3-day lockdown because they've discovered one new case of COVID. One new case. They locked the entire city down for 3 days. It's mind-boggling to me that this is just continuing like this. And I just wonder how long it's going to be before this sort of thing comes, before they lock us back down here like that in America. The states have these new strains of COVID that are more contagious and maybe more dangerous. And so how long before Biden's little health crew decides that we need to be locked down like that, to prevent the spread? I mean, in Washington State, we're still locked down. There's no indoor dining. The gym, some of the gyms are just opening back up with a 20% capacity or less. And we've been locked down this whole time. I know, that's sort of not the norm for the rest of the country. As far as I'm aware, Washington, Oregon, California, Michigan, New York, and maybe one other state are the only places you cannot get indoor dining right now. So I know some of you haven't had to experience this the way we have here in Washington, but we've been on lockdown. And I just wonder how long before the rest of the country gets to go back on this again with things being the way they are with this new administration. And we know how Fauci feels about lockdown. So the other thing that I saw in the news in this Bloomberg article was that they were talking about these lockdowns and how this is going to be in the toolkit of governments now going forward. That this is something they're going to use for these things when they decide that it's a health emergency. They're just gonna lock us down. And I'm just wondering why this is acceptable to anybody. This has never been done in history. They've never had to do this before. And now all of a sudden anytime we get some new virus, they're going to just shut everything down. I mean, this has been economically disastrous for the entire world. We're not going to recover from this. Not for a long time, if at all. And I just wonder why people stand for this. You gotta start asking the hard questions, like why this is really happening. It's not about public safety. There's too many discrepancies when it comes to these policies. You close all the mom and pop stores, but you leave Walmart, Target, and Costco open and pack it with people. And not to mention, you go into a grocery store, and I was with my kid in the grocery store the other day, and she was looking for something, and I swear to God, she picked up every single piece of whatever it was in the bin and put it back until, she found. And I kept telling her, why are you touching everything? She thought it was funny, but that's what people do in the grocery store. They're touching everything, the fruits and vegetables and the boxes. They pick them up and look at it and put it back. They pick up the fruit, decide they don't want it and put it back, and then you come pick it up and take it home. And do people really wash that stuff off very good when they get it home? I mean, sometimes you rinse it in the sink, but then, you're cutting it up and eating it. If it was really that bad, those grocery stores would have spread this thing a lot worse than what it has. And, you've got all the restaurants closed because it's too dangerous to eat in the restaurant. But hey, if you set a tent up in the parking lot and put everybody in there, then that's somehow safer than just having limited capacity inside. It makes no sense. There's no common sense. The stuff that they're doing just does not add up. You have to use your common sense and question this stuff. Somehow it's safe for people to get on an airplane and sit 3 to a row right next to each other, complete strangers. Somehow that's okay. But you can't be outside walking around in a park without a mask on in public. They've got people in some areas, school in Washington. I know in some states school is just open and everything's normal, but in Washington, most of the populated areas does not have in-person school. It's all still remote learning. And, some of the smaller areas are back in person, for some schools are every day. Some schools are split where they go, maybe twice a week, and it's half the kids on 2 days and half the other kids on the other 2 days. But they're in the classroom with each other. They're not allowed to go out of the classroom for anything. They can't eat lunch in the lunchroom because that's too dangerous. But they can eat in their classroom with everybody right there. That's okay. They can't go out to recess because that's too dangerous, even though they're outside and can be spaced apart. They ride the school bus to school, 2 or 3 to a seat with no distancing, and somehow doesn't matter. It won't affect them until they get into the school building. Then they better social distance, None of this stuff makes sense if you just think about it. Use your common sense. I don't know if you know much about narcissism or sociopathic people, but you should take some time and Google it and read up on it. Most of these politicians are narcissists or full-blown sociopaths. And the way that they gain control of a person, if you're in a relationship with somebody like this, the way they gain control of you is by being really nice to you, giving you something, and then punishing you, or verbally abusing you, or physically abusing you, and then giving you a little something, being a little bit nice to you, and then they just repeat this cycle over and over and over, and it creates this trauma bond with the person. And I think if you look at this on a broad scale with what some of these governors are doing to the people, it is the same tactic. And it takes a sociopath or a narcissist about 90 days to modify somebody's behavior and get them into this trauma bond where they will never leave that person. It's like an addiction. They can't cut loose of it. You know, it's like Stockholm syndrome, you know. And I really feel like that is what these governors in these states that are really strict have done to the people. They give them a little something and then take a bunch of stuff away, and it's gone on for months now, and you have effectively modified these people's behavior to accept that this is normal, this is okay, and these people are going to fight for their governors. The majority of these people are going to fight for them and stick up for them and make excuses for why they've done what they've done. You know, it was for our own good. I just don't see how, you know, this thing is just going to go on, and they're just going to use this every time they need to gain control of us or want to shut us down because some new virus came out, or who knows what it'll be next time. I think we've lost the time we had to actually stand up to this and say this isn't okay. I think we're stuck with this now. Anyway, folks, I hope you have a great day. Be safe out there.